For as long as I can remember, I have lived simply. My apartment is neat, but unremarkable. Second-hand furniture, a faded rug, and curtains hemmed by my own hands. My son, Daniel, never saw me as anything but practical and frugal, the mother who pinched every penny. He assumed my old shoes and plain handbag were all I could afford. He never asked about my work beyond, "How was your day, Mom?" And I never volunteered details. Truthfully, I found a strange joy in living below my means, investing silently, and rising through my company's ranks without fanfare. What mattered most was Daniel's character, generosity, humility, independence. But nothing could have prepared me for the day he phoned with a request. "Mom, Clara's parents are in town. We're having dinner at Faraday's. Please join us. Just be yourself, okay?" His nervousness lingered long after the call. Somehow, I knew this night would be different. I stood in front of my closet and chose my oldest gray dress, the one with a tiny moth hole near the hem. I wore battered black flats, left off jewelry except for my wedding band. My hair, mostly silver, was pulled back in a loose bun. Looking in the mirror, I blended perfectly with the quiet, unassuming woman they expected to see. Faraday's was all polished marble floors and men in crisp black suits. Daniel waited with Clara outside. She clutched an expensive clutch, uncomfortable as she watched my taxi approach. Inside, her parents were elegance personified. Mr. Everett wore a tailored suit. Mrs. Everett shimmered in pearls and a silken green blouse. Their eyes swept over me, polite but curious, as Daniel introduced us. The waitress poured wine. The menus arrived, heavy and inlaid with gold leaf. I squinted at mine, pretending not to know the French terms. Mr. Everett gently suggested a simpler starter for me. I saw Clara's tight smile and Daniel's twitching hands under the table, wishing I had worn something new. Mrs. Everett leaned across the table. "Daniel says you work in an office. That must be challenging on your own." Her tone was gentle, but her eyes flickered with concern. "Oh, I manage," I replied. "I keep busy." The conversation drifted between stocks, college tuition, travel, and how hard it must be for a single woman to get by these days. They took turns listing their achievements: Clara's private school, their 4-bedroom home, holidays in the south of France, a flat in New York. Daniel smiled encouragingly, while Clara winced as her mother recounted buying her a car for graduating top of her class. I listened, nodding. Every so often, I caught my son's eye, but he looked away quickly. When the main courses arrived, Mrs. Everett pressed delicately, "Do you have anyone to help with bills, Mrs. Carter? We know Daniel does what he can, but—" She trailed off, her smile meant to be supportive but stinging all the same. "I get by," I replied. "I've always believed in saving for a rainy day." When dessert was ordered, tiny exquisite tarts and coffee served in porcelain, I felt a shift. Mr. Everett cleared his throat nervously. "We hope you don't mind, but we'd like to offer a little support, Mrs. Carter. It's just that Clara and Daniel are starting their life, and frankly, we know what it's like to worry about aging parents. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate. We can help out. Maybe a small monthly stipend." The bluntness caught Daniel off guard. His cheeks turned a deep red. His fiancée squeezed his hand, embarrassed but silent. I looked at them. Those two young people, so anxious to start their life clean, free from the shadows of my supposed poverty. I waited for a pang of humiliation, but inside me, there was only peace. After all these years, I had protected Daniel from the weight of inheritance, from becoming complacent, from thinking money came easily. What would be the harm, really, in letting one more group underestimate me? But I remembered my late husband telling me, "Someday, Lenora, the truth must come out. It's the only way for people to learn." I reached into my purse and pulled out a business card as simple as my dress. My name, my position, my company's logo embossed faintly on the edge. "I appreciate your concern, truly. But you see," I began quietly, "when Daniel was little, There were times when I didn't know how I'd keep the lights on. I went without so he'd never feel less than others. But I worked. I learned. I rose. For the last 15 years, I've been the chief of audit at the nation's largest tech conglomerate. I make more in a month than most families do in a year. The table fell utterly silent. Mr. and Mrs. Everett's faces registered disbelief, then, amazingly, respect. I never spent money on clothes or trips or luxury cars, I continued. I wanted Daniel to learn to work, to dream, and to know that real pride comes not from wealth, but from becoming a good person. Clara gazed at me, tears in her eyes. Daniel stared, mouth open, then burst out, "Why didn't you tell me?" I smiled. "Because I wanted you to be your own man, not just someone's rich son." Mrs. Everett quietly reached for my hand. "I'm sorry for assuming. It seems I'm the one who's learned something tonight." Daniel hugged me outside the restaurant, voice thick with emotion. "You were always enough, Mom. More than enough." That night, I sat in my chair, old and comfortable, the city lights twinkling through my window. I felt light, a weight lifted, not of money spent, but of truth finally spoken. The next day, Daniel and Clara visited. They asked for advice, not help. We made tea. Together, we spoke of life, dreams, and dignity. For the first time, Daniel understood who I truly was. Not a poor woman to be pitied, but a mother who gave everything, quietly, wisely, lovingly, so her child could stand tall in the world. That, I realized, was the wealth I had always wanted to leave behind.